What if I told you the person you were before they hurt you isn't gone? That beneath the fear, the silence, the scars, there's a fire still burning, a voice still waiting to be heard, a soul still waiting to come home. This isn't about going back. This is about going deeper, deeper into the version of you that pain couldn't destroy, only awaken. There is within every man and woman a silent, waiting greatness. It does not boast. It does not demand. It does not cry for recognition. But it waits, quietly, patiently, for the moment you remember who you were before the wound, before the betrayal, before the heart was torn by another's hand. There comes a time in the life of every individual when pain arrives uninvited. This pain, inflicted not by the world at large, but by someone you once trusted, respected, or even loved. Perhaps it was a parent, perhaps a friend, perhaps a partner, perhaps the society that failed to see you. Regardless of who or what it was, there remains this undeniable truth: something inside you dimmed. But let me tell you, what was dimmed is not destroyed. What was wounded is not finished. The person you were before they hurt you is not gone. That person is waiting, not behind you, but within you. To become again the person you were before they hurt you, you must first understand a truth that few will tell you: you are not broken. You may be bruised. You may be scarred. But bruises fade, and scars, they are not flaws but testaments. They are evidence that you survived, that you endured, that you still have within you the power to rise. The first step on this journey is awareness. You must become aware of the moment you began to change. Search your memory, not as a victim, but as an observer. Recall the point in time when your laughter was no longer free, when your dreams felt too heavy to chase, when your reflection in the mirror no longer sparked recognition. This is not to dwell in sorrow, but to reclaim your timeline. If you can identify when the change happened, then you can identify how to change again. This time, by conscious design. Next comes acceptance. Too often, people try to erase pain. They attempt to forget it, suppress it, deny it ever occurred. But healing does not come from pretending the wound was never inflicted. It comes from looking at the wound, acknowledging its presence, and saying, "This was done to me, but I decide what it means." Pain does not define you. Your response to pain, that is your definition. You must choose now to reject the identity that pain tried to write over you. If someone told you that you were not enough, if someone made you feel unworthy, unloved, unseen, that was their limitation, not your truth. And yet, they carved it into your belief system like a false law. Break that law today. It was written in sand, not stone. The power to become again who you were lies not in time, but in decision. Time is a great illusion. People say, it will heal with time. But time heals nothing without effort. It is your decisions that heal. Your conscious will to rise each morning and say, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become today." Now let us talk about the person you were before they hurt you. That person still lives inside you. Perhaps they were trusting. Perhaps they were bold. Perhaps they were joyful or filled with curiosity. They dared to dream without restraint. They dared to love without fear. They dared to believe that the world was open, that people could be kind, that life could be beautiful. And then the wound came, and something in you folded in. You began to shrink yourself, to silence your voice, to tighten your heart. But listen closely, what if the pain did not come to destroy that version of you, but to test it? What if the hurt was not a punishment, but a mirror? A challenge to prove that the version of you before the pain was not a phase, but a foundation. The person you were before the pain is not an RV. That person is pure. They are not weak. They are authentic. And nothing is more powerful than authenticity in a world that constantly demands conformity. To return to your original self is to defy every force that tried to mold you into a shape that pleased them, but not you. Now, understand this. Becoming again who you were is not about going backward. It is not about turning time. It is about moving forward with remembrance. You are not trying to become who you were without pain. You are becoming someone stronger because of it. Courage is your tool, and courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage is fear walking forward anyway. Begin today with a single step. Speak again with the voice that was silenced. Trust again, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve the freedom that trust brings. Dream again, not because it's safe, but because you have dreams too sacred to remain dormant. And above all, forgive, not for their sake, but for your own, because the grudge is not held against them, it is held within you. It poisons your joy, taints your laughter, casts shadows over your sunshine. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is declaring that the hurt no longer owns you. Every great man or woman who ever lived and changed the world had to overcome something that was meant to shatter them. They walked through the fire, not because they liked the heat, but because they understood on the other side is gold. Steel is not forged in silence, it is forged in flame, and so are you. Surround yourself with those who remind you of your value, not because they flatter you, but because they speak truth. Remove from your life those who benefit from your silence. Say no to things that drain you. Say yes to what ignites you. Feed your mind daily. Speak affirmations not as empty platitudes, but as declarations of war against doubt. Declaring, I am not less because I was hurt. I am more because I lived through it. Learn the art of self-belief. When you believe in yourself again, something strange happens. The world begins to bend. Doors open. Energy shifts. People respond. It is not magic. It is alignment. The world reflects what you project. You once believed you could. You once believed you mattered. Reclaim that belief like lost treasure. It was buried, not broken. It was hidden, not gone. Let your voice rise now. Not to shout at the world, but to remind yourself that you are still here. Let your light shine. Not to blind others, but to guide yourself back to the path. Let your heart open, not because others deserve it, but because you do. And every morning, repeat this vow. Today I live forward, not in reaction to pain, but in devotion to the self I was always meant to become. Not only can you become who you were, you can become even more. Not despite the pain, but because of it. They told you to move on. They told you to get over it. But moving on is not forgetting. It is not ignoring. It is not pretending that you weren't changed. No, moving on is standing on the ashes of what they tried to burn and declaring, I still rise. It is choosing to live, not in spite of what they did, but to defy what they intended. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to tiptoe through life, afraid to be seen, hesitant to speak, uncertain of your worth. No, you were designed to stand tall, to walk boldly, to carry within you the fire of your truth. Before they hurt you, you knew that. You lived it. You walked it. You were free. And now, you will be free again. But here, this freedom is not something given. It is something taken back. You must reclaim your power, not in anger, but in clarity. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. You were never the lies they told. You were never the version of you they tried to reduce you to. You were always more. The problem is not that you forgot. The problem is that you started believing them. You believed their rejection meant something about you. You believed their silence was a verdict. You believed that love must be earned through sacrifice and that worth must be measured through someone else's acceptance. But the truth, you were already enough before you were hurt, and you are still enough now. It is time to break the cycle. Stop replaying the story where you're the victim, the one abandoned, the one misunderstood, the one betrayed. That chapter was real, but it is not the whole book. You are the author. You can turn the page. You can write a new script where you are the one who came back stronger. The one who walked through the fire and kept going. The one who refused to let darkness dim their light permanently. You see, pain is not your home. It was only a place you passed through. You don't belong in shame. You don't belong in silence. You don't belong in the prison of, what if, and why me? You belong in freedom, in fullness, in joy. And you get there not by waiting, but by choosing, deliberately, consistently, and unapologetically. Let today be the day you declare this truth. I will no longer carry what was never mine to hold. Not their guilt, not their insecurity, not their projections, not their punishment disguised as love. Let go. Let go not because it's easy, but because holding on costs too much. It costs your peace, your sleep, your self-worth. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is worth more than the return of your true self. You remember them. The version of you who laughed without looking over their shoulder, who danced without worrying how they looked, who believed that the world had magic, and they had a place in it, that you didn't die, that you is still in there. But they need your permission to come back. They need your belief. They need your protection. Be the protector of your own spirit now. Guard your joy. Fight for your dreams. Defend your hope with the ferocity of someone who knows what it's like to live without it. Because now, you know the cost of silence. You know the cost of dimming your light. You know the price of living small. Never again. This world will tell you to be realistic, to settle, to adjust your expectations. But let me tell you this, reality is shaped by those who dare to dream again after being disappointed. The most powerful people are not those who were never broken, but those who rebuilt themselves with bare hands and open hearts. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will take time. Yes, you will have days where the old pain whispers again. But now, you are stronger than your past. You are more resilient than your memory. You are wiser than you were. You are becoming a version of yourself that no pain can touch, no betrayal can ruin, no lie can define. They may have taken your innocence, but they cannot take your essence. They may have shattered your trust, but they cannot shatter your truth. And your truth is this: you are whole. Not because someone told you, but because you remembered. And in that remembering, you rise. You rise with dignity. You rise with depth. Close your eyes and picture it. Strip away the armor you built not for fashion but for survival. Set down the shields you've carried, not because you wanted to, but because you had to. Imagine yourself walking through a world where your steps are not hesitant, but grounded, where your eyes don't search the room for threats, but scan the horizon for possibilities, where your voice doesn't tremble, it resonates. That version of you exists, not in fiction, but in potential. It is the next evolution of the person you were before the pain. Pain changed you. Yes, but what if that change wasn't a curse? What if it was a calling? What if your heartbreak wasn't meant to end you, but to awaken you? You see, the strongest foundations are not built in comfort. They are forged in chaos. They are built in moments when everything crumbles, and you are forced to deciding, will I rebuild or will I remain buried? Let today be your rebuild, and let it not be a reconstruction of the old self, but a renaissance of the true self. Do not patch up what they broke. Replace it. Do not return to the innocence that once left you vulnerable. Rise with wisdom and walk forward with open eyes. There is a deeper version of you waiting to be born. Not naive, but discerning, not fragile, but flexible, not idealistic, but visionary. This version of you holds paradox in their hands. They know joy and grief. They know loss and love. They have tasted bitterness, but still choose to speak sweetness. They are whole, not because they are untouched by pain, but because they no longer resist it. To become who you were before they hurt you is not to rewind. It is to reclaim. It is to reach back through memory, grab the golden threads of your essence, and weave them into the fabric of the present. Your smile, your creativity, your courage, your trust, your passion. They are not gone. They are waiting for your permission to come back into the light. But understand this: you must create a life where those parts of you feel safe again. Create boundaries, not walls. Invite healing, not hiding. Speak your needs, not your fears. Choose love, not because it is always returned, but because you are loved. And when the echoes of the past return, as they sometimes will, stand firm. Look them in the eye and say, I remember you, but I do not belong to you. Because healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering differently. It's looking at what happened and saying, that shaped me, yes, but it does not limit me. It's declaring, that moment hurt, but I kept going. And it's affirming, that version of me died, yes, but what was reborn is someone the pain could never imagine. You are no longer their victim. You are no longer defined by how they saw you. They may have told you that you were too much, too soft, too loud, too ambitious, too emotional. But let me tell you now, you were never too much. You were just too real for those who were too afraid to meet you there. And so they hurt you because they couldn't handle your light. But now, that light is rising again, and this time, it will blind every shadow that tries to take root. Let every step forward be an act of revolution. Reclaim your mornings. No longer wake up with dread, but with devotion. Reclaim your body. It is not the map of your pain, it is the vessel of your power. Reclaim your voice. Do not soften your truth for ears unready. Speak it clearly, for yourself. Reclaim your joy. Not the performative happiness, but the real joy. The one that erupts from your soul when you live fully, deeply, truly. And know this, every tear you cried fertilized the soil of your growth. Every time your knees hit the floor in despair, they planted a seed. And now, you are blooming. There is something sacred about the moment you deciding, I will no longer abandon myself to keep others comfortable. It marks the end of your captivity, because for so long, you've shaped yourself to fit the expectations of people who never bothered to ask who you truly are. You dimmed your light so they wouldn't feel overshadowed. You shrank your voice so theirs could dominate the room. You became the peacekeeper, the fixer, the forgiver, the one who always bends. But now you are done bending, because you've learned this, when you twist yourself into something you're not, you don't just lose them. You lose yourself, and you are too rare, too divine, too vital to this world to go missing. So stand up, straighten your back, lift your head, fill your lungs not with fear, but with truth. And let your very existence become a testament to the one thing they could never take from you. Your becoming. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be understood by those who refuse to understand themselves. You are here to live. With passion, with clarity, with reverence for the soul that has walked through storms and still reaches for the sun. Before they hurt you, you believed in magic. Before they hurt you, you trusted people's words. Before they hurt you, you didn't flinch when someone raised their voice or raised their hand. But now you don't just believe in magic. You create it. Now you don't just trust words. You measure them by the integrity behind them. Now you don't just avoid pain. You recognize the patterns and walk away before they repeat. This is not weakness. This is evolution. You are no longer fragile. You are refined. The fire didn't burn you down. It forged you. And everything you thought was lost, it wasn't lost. It was buried. It was waiting. Beneath the shame, beneath the fear, beneath the noise. Waiting for you to stop looking for healing in other people's hands. Waiting for you to realize that your return to self was never going to be found in their apology, their validation, or their approval. You are the medicine. You are the answer. You are the one you've been waiting for. So rise. And rise not gently. Rise with thunder. Rise with the kind of courage that shakes the dust off old dreams. Speak life into what you once buried. Touch the places you once ignored. Embrace the mirror. Not for how you look, but for how far you've come. Because this version of you, it's not a rebuild. It's a rebirth. And let us be clear about something: the person you were before they hurt you was beautiful, but the person you are becoming now is unshakable. Because that old self didn't know what it meant to lose everything and still choose love. That old self didn't know what it meant to walk through fire and come out carrying the flame. That old self didn't know what it meant to fall apart and use the pieces to build something even stronger. You know now, and knowing changes everything. Now you don't need to be rescued. The world trained you to believe that survival was enough, that if you made it through the day, kept your head down, paid your dues, and didn't ask for too much, you were doing well. But let me ask you, is surviving all you came here to do? You didn't endure all that pain just to barely breathe. You didn't rise from the ashes just to remain in hiding. You weren't rebuilt from heartbreak, betrayal, and abandonment just to live a life of quiet resentment and cautious hope. No, you were forget to thrive. You were broken open so your truth could finally escape the cage of conformity. You were brought to your knees so you could discover how to rise on your own legs. The most profound transformations often start with devastation. And yes, it shattered you. But look closely, what shattered was the shell. What survived is your soul. And your soul remembers. It remembers a time when you didn't apologize for dreaming. It remembers a time when your laughter was free, when your love was unfiltered, when your spirit didn't carry the burden of proving itself.